Hello again, Rebecca here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are working with Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches, and I'm also going to be using the Close to My Heart Comfort and Joy collection. Apparently right here I did not edit the video very well, so hello, there I am. I'm going to go ahead and scrap that picture of my son. This Comfort and Joy is a Christmas collection, so it's like winter themed, and well, I decided to go ahead and use that picture. Those were his senior pictures that my sister-in-law took last Christmas, and I have so many of them, I just want to get them all scrapped. So here, this is like real time. This is how slow I scrap, but I didn't even edit the video, so the length of the video is pretty much, that's how long it took me to do this layout, less than 15 minutes. So right here, I am coming in and very, very slowly, oh, this is going to kill me. The sketch called for 2 triangular bits that come from each side. So I was trying to make the most of the 12 by 12 pattern papers that I have left. However, the month's almost over and the new catalog for Close to My Heart is coming out. So I do have more collections that I want to start scrapping with, so I should have just went ahead, but I didn't want to have all the scraps, so. Right here, I'm going to, instead of trying to trim that and match it up, I got it angled on there where I liked it, tacked it down just a little bit with my ATG, and I'm going to flip it over, and I'm just going to cut that right off. I'm just going to take my little scissors, we're just going to snip, snip, snip. Now I do go ahead and realize that I might as well just try to adhere the whole thing, because at this point, it's not coming up after I trim it off, right? That was the point. So I start cutting, and I'm like, I need to get this tacked down a little bit better because it's still kind of flipping when I pick it up, and that pattern paper is coming off the cardstock. So I just run my ATG one more time, get that secured down, and then we're gonna, like I said, trim that right off the edge. And then I'm gonna take the other side, because I use both sides of this Close to My Heart, and this is actually part of the mixing collection, and I'll leave a link in the description below if you'd like to pick this up. I believe this catalog ends on the 31st of October, so they have a new Christmas collection, which is, oh my jeez, beautiful. But this one was bold. This is like, this collection is, when I think of Christmas, this is like what I think of. I don't think of the pinks and the teals and all that. I think of bold red, deep green, accented with white, black, and a little bit of blue for the winter effect, right? Okay, I am just going to come in and right here, I'm just trying to get it to where I might like it, and the sketch kind of has those triangles offset, and I do not like that in any way, shape, or form, because to me it just makes my eyes go a little cross-eyed. So I'm going to take my pencil, mark it right here, because I'm going to put this in my trimmer. Why I didn't use the same technique that I used for the other side, not a clue. But I wanted it to be, like, I guess, straight. So I'm going to stick this in here. And I'm going to futz with this for just a minute because it does take me, I don't want to make the triangle not symmetrical. So I'm going to line it up at a peak and count how many inches to the peak. And that's kind of what I do. It takes me a minute. I'm really thinking about it, trying to figure out how best to get this done. And then I did lose my little pencil mark as well, so I had to find that again. And here we go. Again, I'm off. So I'm like, that looks really, really dumb. So then I take it and I'm like, peek it up, and then count. And then count the other way. And then I forget what the first side was. I have a very, very horrible short-term memory. I can tell you stuff that happened when I was 3 years old, but for the life of me, I got no idea what happened yesterday. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but it's fun. It's fun. So I go ahead and finally get that all trimmed down. And I am just going to go ahead and line it up to an angle, to a line that's pleasing to my eye. And I do actually turn the sketch 90 degrees. So I get that stuck down to where I like it. Takes me a little bit. You know, when you watch yourself in real time, like, because you speed up most of your videos anyway to get them into you're like, look how fast I am. And then you actually see yourself real-time scrapping and you're like, oh my God, Grandma's slow. So right here, the sketch also called for 2 strips that ran down the opposite sides of the triangles. So I'm going to use this nice little scrap that I had going on here, just cut down 2 little strips, and I'm going to run those along opposite sides, not opposing, well, I guess opposing, opposite, whatever, sides of the triangle. So I'm going to put this one right here, and that's just to bring in the red that is in my son's shirt, and also the pattern papers that I chose to back it with. Now it called for a whole bunch of like wonky backs, and I just did some weird, a couple weird layering. You'll see that in just a minute. So I do get that stuck down, and then I'm going to get the other one stuck down on the other side. And I do pull out some stamps and the scarlet ink that matches this color on this red strip pretty well. And the sketch actually called for some like splotchy bits, which I do get that by using a block and my Close to My Heart shimmer pen. I do lose some footage. I also should let you know that because I hit the button and then I don't know what I was doing. But anyway, I do have a triangle. It's a Concord 9th turnabout triangle stamp to make a mosaic, and I end up just using it just to get the cute little stamping part at the bottom of each of these photos. So you'll see that in just a minute. And actually, I don't know if that's the part I lose or not. So I guess really this did take me a little longer than 15 minutes. So I lost about 5 minutes of footage, but still, I feel like that's pretty good. So I do just go ahead and make sure that everything is adhered nicely to my background. Get some more adhesive in there. Fill in the love. Now I went back to the office to work, and so I tend to be tired when I get home, so I don't scrap as much in the evening anymore. I pretty much, because I get up early, like I get up at like 4:30 and I don't have to actually leave until 7, so I use the most of that time and I scrap in the morning and get all my fun stuff down. Now right there you'll see is the picture of my son. You can see the snow in the background, which is so funny how she did that, because if you knew what that actually was, you would laugh. Like, my parents were in the process of building a house, so last Christmas they were in this little poop hole of a rent house, and there was a big creek that ran through the back, and I mean it was not pretty, it wasn't, so, and that was like the side of the creek. She used that as the backdrop on the way that the snow had fallen on it, so that's pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of this red cardstock that I had thrown in here as well that matched. I'm going to layer that. I'm going to border the picture in that, and then I'm going to layer this black and maroon plaid piece behind it. And because it wasn't going to fit everything, I do go at a smidge of an angle. And then I'm like, oh, I need to just let me get all kinds of adhesive on here, right? Because that is what we do. And I get that wonkily on there, and then just make a straight cut. And then I'm going to grab another piece of pattern paper and make a layer on that as well. And I kind of use my trimmer base as the platform to do all this. I have no idea why. But yeah, that's where we're at. So I get this all down, and instead of like cutting it to the length that I needed, I obviously did not do that. And I went ahead and just stuck it on there and then like made weird cuts, okay? Because that's how we roll, people. So I get that done, and I really like the way that is looking. And then we're gonna get this, I'm gonna figure out where I want to position that on the page. And I was thinking like maybe that looks good, but then I'm like, you know what? I'm not real sure. Maybe put it up here. No, I'm not feeling that either. Let's move it to the other side. And I believe that is where it ends up going in the final layout. But we come back to that because I can't decide. So right here I am going to go ahead, and there's my Concord and 9 stamp. The scarlet ink pad. I go ahead and grab some it's an old Stampin' Up sheet. I should have used my Close to My Heart one because they have the same like stamp things. but that one was already dirty and I just felt like it was okay. So shout out. So I do just go ahead and just drop this on here now because I'm not using a stamp positioner, which PS is my dream. So if you guys know my fiance, let him know that I would like to have the 12 by 12 Misty. Yes, I would. But anyway, I didn't even grab a block or anything. Like I have a block this big. I didn't. I just thought, let's just go for it. We're doing some like sketch anyway, right? So I just get that down and I just go in there and I just push on each little triangle just because that made sense in my head. Just get it all, make sure that ink, and then I'm like, oh, come on, Becky, just push, and then I pull it up. And there's my wonky triangles. It's a fun stamp, like you do like the little turnabout, so you keep turning it and then you make a fun mosaic. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that one more time for the other side. Love my close to my heart ink pads. Oh my goodness, they are juicy, they are fun, and they are easy to stamp like this. These are, I don't have a lot of stamp pads. The only other stamp pads I have other than the Distress and the Distress Oxide are the is Stampin' Up, and they don't work like this. I think it's really hard to get that type of coverage. And because I did not prep the stamp, and that was pretty much this is the first time I believe I've ever used it. I've just seen it demonstrated. That's how I know how it works. But I didn't prep the stamp. I didn't even think about it. So the ink is like pooling up on the stamp. Does that make sense? So it's not covering on that stamp all the way, but I like it. So I just go ahead and this is how I'm going to clean that stamp off because the stamp wasn't dirty when I lifted it back up. And we're just going to stick that back on there. I put my ink pad away. And I'm going to go ahead and stick this back onto the sheet. And I'm like, okay, turn, and flip over. Normally I cut all this out of the video, so I do apologize. But there is not too much more left. I believe you missed all the fun splatty bits. I will leave a link to the Facebook group for the Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches, so you can see all the other fun videos that people are doing. I will also leave a link to my Close to My Heart. See, there you go. That is what happened. All that fun decoration and splatty bit, I thought I was recording and I was not. So basically what I did was I took some Heidi Swap tea stain and splatted all in that area. And then I went ahead and grabbed my, I believe that's Toffee Close to My Heart shimmer pen, flipped that around, sprinkled that onto that block, and then smushed it. Joy's my title, and a little bit more embellishing. So give me a thumbs up if you like the layout. Click that subscribe.